Hi everyone, this is a brief tutorial on the management of Adobe Connect meetings. Now, as many of you know, we've gone through some difficulties in the last couple of days in trying to put our meetings together. So I wanted to put together a formal document so we understood who's responsible for what and how this is all done. So first of all, let's talk about what is meeting management. Meeting management is the process of preparing all the materials, videos, and setups for the class and loading them into Adobe Connect so that the class can be run. Now, there's several reasons that we do this. First of all, we do this to make the student experience as positive and pleasant as possible. Being online can be very tedious and boring for people. We want to keep things interesting. We want things to pop. We want people to stay focused on what we're talking about and enjoy the experience. The second reason to do this is we want to make it easy for the teacher to teach. The purpose of setting up the layouts and managing the meetings is so that the teacher can concentrate on the material and the students and not be burdened with technical issues. Third of all, meeting management is about making sure that when there are students or when there are technical problems, there are people there to address it, pull them out of the game so that the rest of the people, the teacher and the other students, can continue to have their teaching experience. So, the key to meeting management is the layout. Now, in Adobe Connect, we have a thing called a pod, and a pod is one of the little boxes that pops up. It's a single object painted onto the screen. So each pod holds something. It can hold a slide stack, a video, a banner, a camera, a chat room. These are all little object-oriented little objects, and when we pre-organize those pods, it's known as a layout. So layouts make it easy for the Master of Ceremonies TA and for the teacher to run the class. So a layout is a pre-saved organization of pods, and a pod is an object in Adobe Connect. So for each class, there are 5 layouts. We have the day master layouts, DX standing for day 1, day 2, day 3. The day masters, the DX masters, are displayed before the class, during the breaks, and after the class. They're there for people to take a rest, kind of like the commercial in between the real guts of the class. We then have the lectures, and there are 2 main layouts for lectures. A1 left, where the slides are on the left, and the teachers on the right, and A2 right, vice versa. These 2 are where people will spend most of their time. These are where the slides and the teacher are. The A3, which is a drawing board, and the A4, which is a discussion room, they're there for the teacher if the teacher wants to use it. They're not used too often. So the main ones are the DX Masters, A1, and A2. So this is the DX Master layout, and you can see how it's positioned. You can see on the right the layouts selection panel, and you can see the Day 1 Master is highlighted in blue, and that's the one we're looking at right now. And we're going to go over what each of the things are that you're seeing on this screen. By the way, where you see the typing D1 FAR, D1 SB, those are labels. We display hidden labels, so the students should not see those labels. They're going to see this all painted as one integrated screen. This is what the A1 left looks like. You can see the big black box. That's where the slides go. And on the right is where the teacher's camera is. The bottom right-hand corner is the chat box where students chat with the staff. And in the middle there is the different students that are logged into the room. And you can see we're on the A1 left selected. Now, the schedule for the class for a typical 4-hour-a-day class, these are the OLFAR and the OLTFS, looks like this. The Okra and Octef, which are 2-hour-a-day, they have a different timetable. But the class schedule is 45 minutes before the class, the DX Master session is started. The first hour of class, we'll use the A1 left. The first break will be the DX Master again with the session 2 pods. The second hour starts on A2 right with the A2 slides. The second break happens an hour and 50 minutes after start, and that's the S3 session. The third hour uses the S3 slides. Break 3 uses the S4, and then the end of the session uses the S5. So you can see every hour on the hour we start a new lecture. So the first lecture starts at the beginning, second hour, second lecture, third and fourth, and we alternate the A1 left and the A2 right. In between each, that is 50 minutes after the hour, each hour, we show the DX Masters with a different set of pods, the S1 through S5 pods in those masters. So, when we're working within the Adobe Connect session, there are two modes. The mode is set by the Master of Ceremonies TA or the teacher. And the first mode is called layout mode. That's the mode where we're allowed to choose which layout we're going to show during the class. We're typically only in layout mode during a transition. The mode that we're in most of the time is the breakout mode. That's where we're allowed to have breakout rooms where we can pull a student out of the main room, deal with them one-on-one without disturbing the rest of the people in the class. The way you can tell which mode you're in is by what you see on the right-hand side of the screen. This is the layout mode, and you can see the layouts displayed on the right-hand side of the screen. And this is the breakout mode, and now you don't see any layouts, but what you do see is a bunch of break rooms down below. So the MC or the teacher will be cutting back and forth between breakout mode and layout mode depending on whether we want to change the layout or not. So the layout objects, which is the collection of pods, the pods are the things that the student sees. Each is built to do a different job. We want to be neat and organized and be consistent in the way that we put these pods together, and it's the responsibility of the MCTA, that is the Master of Ceremonies Teacher's Aide, to manage pods and layouts. So this is the DX Master layout, and let's look at it more specifically. The chat box, the timer, the attendees list, this is all positioned in that place, and those don't move, but the other ones do. The upper left-hand corner is where we have the cameras. At the top center, we have what we call the day banner, and it will have a name like day banner or D1 or D2. That's an Adobe Flash made out of InDesign, and those are the day banners, and they can be found in the day banner folder. We then have the session banners. Those are located underneath the day banners. The day banners are one per day. The session banners change every hour according to that schedule. So let's go back to the schedule, and you can see how the session banners change at every break. Okay, down here is what we call the center rotator. The center rotator will be either an MP4 or a flash. They're usually about 20 minutes to 30 minutes long. Those are videos, commercials, geo-rotators, different things to keep people engaged and give them something to look at and think about during the breaks. On the left is what we call the left rotator. You can see the naming convention for that. These will be an abbreviated version of the slides for the next hour. These are kind of like a heads up for the students what they'll be learning about the next hour of the class. So we have the day banner, changes only once per day, the session banners, the center rotators, and the left rotators, which change every hour. Okay, so here's our naming convention and our timing for which template during which session. And I'll leave that, and this will be posted for you to use. Now, we have two processes involved in putting this together. We have what we call loading the pods, and then we have what we call peeling the pods. So an Adobe Connect meeting will remember wherever you left things the last time the meeting was open, and will hide things in the reverse order from what you revealed. So when you load the session materials, that is the banners, left rotators, right, center rotators, and slides, you basically put them over each other. You first put session 5, then 4, 3, and 2, and 1 all over each other. That way, when the class starts, you can hide the one on top and reveal the one underneath. So when we put these in, we put them in reverse order. First we put 5, then 4, 3, 2, and 1, and we call that loading in reverse order. So you load them in reverse order, one on top of the other. Then when you teach the class, as you go from one session to the next, the MC will hide the previous session's pods so that you can have revealed the ones underneath. We call that peeling the pods. So we have loading the pods and peeling the pods. Now, because of the way these are named, because the naming convention is very important, when it comes time to managing the classroom, all the TA has to do is come to the pods menu for the first option, and they can see, first of all, the 4 sets of slides. Now, those 4 sets of slides have been loaded into the left and right layouts, one over the other, 4 first, 3, 2, and 1. And then you can see that all of the rotators and banners have been loaded up in reverse order. So what you need to do is make sure that only these names are there and no others, and make sure that the naming convention is followed. You should have S1CR, S1LR, S1SB, S2CR, S2LR, S2SB. And if you go through that process, you should have no problem. I'll give you a demonstration of this in a minute. Or I should say that was a demonstration of how it works. Matter of fact, let's do the demonstration right now. So this is an Adobe Connect meeting. And you can see all of my pods organized properly. And what you do to hide a pod is simply right-click in the corner and say hide, or ocultar in Spanish. And I am now looking at day 1, session 2. I'm going to hide this one. And here's session 2 for the center rotator. And here's session 2 for the left. So let's put it back together the way it belongs. I'll come here and unhide each one. So 45 minutes before the class, this is what we should be seeing. The day banner and all of the session 1s are showing. This is now in layout mode, and from 45 minutes until 30 minutes before, as the TA and the teacher and the TA staff are working, this will all be managed. At the 30-minute mark, we will switch to breakout mode. So I'll switch here and I'll start breakout mode. You see the layouts have disappeared. I get a message that I'm now in breakout mode. I can't change the layout. However, I now have 10 meeting rooms set up. There are 10 breakout rooms. And what will happen is, for the half hour before and during class, while the teacher is teaching and while the MC is making sure that things are moving, if anybody has any technical problems, one of the TAs will pull the student into the breakout room and help them to resolve their problem before putting them back into the main room. So the deal is, no student should be in the room if they don't have a working camera, good speed, and a good mic. And when a student gets into trouble on the technical issues, they should be identified and pulled out by the TA to one of the breakout rooms. This way, the teacher and the MC can focus on the classroom experience. So it is now 30 minutes before. The rotators are working, the music is playing. As students come in, the MC and the teacher are making sure that everybody has good sound and good camera, and if they don't, they will be referred to the technical TAs and pulled out of this room and worked with until things work. And we're going to have another meeting about how that whole process works and look at that control spreadsheet. But anyway, it's 30 minutes before. We're working the students in. It is now 5 minutes before. It is now time for the class to start. The MC will talk to the teacher. They'll decide it's time to start the class. And they will switch back to layout mode. And then the MC will switch it to the first set of slides, to the A1 left. And you will see that now I have my first set of slides for the teacher to teach from. The camera is set up. The teacher will begin teaching, and after a minute or two of introductions, the TA will switch back to breakout mode. So whatever breakout rooms the people were in, when they went to the main room, they will go back to those breakout rooms so the TAs can pick up where they left off on the technical issues. So the teacher will teach from these slides. After about 50 minutes, when it's time for the break, the TA will switch back to layout mode, switches back to the master, and then the TA will hide all of the S1 pods so that the students are now seeing the S2 pods. So these are hidden. The rotators are started. Okay, and now people are encouraged to go on their break or to play a game or whatever. After the break is over, the TA will come back, turn off the video in the middle, put it back on A2 right, hide the slides to make sure that the session 2 slides are showing, call a start to the meeting, teacher will start teaching again. After the teacher has started, the TA will then switch back to breakout mode. This way, anybody with technical problems can be addressed. When the 45 minutes to 50 minutes of lecture are over, the TA will switch back to normal mode. We'll switch back to D1 master, and we will hide the session banners, and we will now be looking at the session banners for session 3. Okay, I'm not going to repeat this again, but we repeat this each time. The last time we come out, we should be looking at session 5, which is the end of class. We have the reminding for the students to take the quiz, our last wrap-up video of the day, and our rotator for the beginning of class for the next day. So this is the basic discipline we follow in order to run the meeting. So, as of today, what we want to try to do is set it up. It will be the responsibility of marketing to build and save the shared templates. They'll make sure that all the IP is loaded and organized properly, and shared templates will have the name -template. They'll have their custom URL will be blank, and they will have no students assigned, and all templates will be scheduled for January 1st, 2014. Templates will have only participants will be administrators, which will be assigned as hosts. Ops will be responsible for building the actual meetings. They'll create a class meeting by creating a new folder for the class and creating one meeting for each day. And then they'll use the standard naming convention for the class with a date for each one. They'll base that class on a master template. They'll assign the correct date and time. They will assign administrators as hosts, assign the student group as participants. They will verify that all content is loaded properly, and they will audit each meeting 45 minutes before the class to make sure that to peel them back and to hide them all and then reload them all to make sure everything is ready for the teacher. So that's our basic tutorial on how to manage the setup of a meeting. I hope it's useful for you.